Hello and welcome to the Fire Officer Project podcast, a show where we will discuss and learn together about topics specific to the American Fire Service. Come along as we explore areas such as firehouse traditions and culture, the fire family life, leadership, as well as getting yourself ready to be the company officer. This show is for everyone from the rookie firefighter to newly promoted officers. I'm your host, Mark McCurdy. Now let's get on with the show. Hello, welcome to episode 7 of the Fire Officer Project. We're going to title this one Command Presence. And this episode came from some of the other shows I've done and then gotten some feedback, people asking if I can go a little bit deeper on certain topics. So I thought I'd start here since most of the episodes prior to this one are focusing just on you as a person and getting yourself ready to promote, or maybe you already have and maybe you're new at it, but this is going to go a little bit deeper on command presence. And it's naturally going to lead into leadership like some of the other episodes do, but that's going to happen when we talk about this subject. So command presence is what we're going to discuss. Also, as the disclaimer, remember, you can figure out where I work. I've already mentioned it multiple times. You can look at my Instagram and figure it out, but I'm just one person. I do not represent my department as a spokesperson on any of these topics. It's purely for informational purposes only. So if I start saying things or going off on a rant or a word slips here or there, don't take it for what it is and try to think, oh, that's exactly what the department. No. Most of the people that are listening to this are people that are just trying to make themselves better. You want to go off on the rails and go sideways and try to hold me to something, then I'm not saying anybody's doing that. All I'm saying is I'm putting that disclaimer out there. If I say something, if I become passionate about something and something slips, fine. Take it at face value for what it is. But we're going to hit this subject. I'm going to go a little bit deep on some command presence things. Although I'm trying to listen to it and learn and take all these things that I've done in my life, there's tons of people that have the same experience. So at the end, I'm going to leave you all my contact information. I'd love for you to send information in and give me your opinion on what you think and things like that, because we learn from each other. So hope you enjoy this show. Episode 7, Command Presence. Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Fire Officer Project, and we're going to title this one Command Presence. As you heard in the intro, kind of what I was talking about, and before we get into that subject, I want to talk about a couple other things, and then I'll lay out how the program's going to look, some topic pointers, and then we'll get a little bit deeper into it. So what's been going on? Other than me being slow as hell and getting these things out slowly, I really appreciate everybody that's been downloading it, and in the last few weeks, I've actually gotten some really good feedback more consistently. And we're nearing 1,300 downloads just on the 6 episodes that we have already published. I think that's pretty decent for something that's starting out so grassroots that it's basically word of mouth, something I do on the side, and just trying to push this out. So I appreciate everybody that has downloaded it, maybe word of mouth passed it on, comments on the Instagram accounts, has sent emails. That's amazing. So thank you very much for that. I've actually fielded a few phone calls, not only from people in my own department, but Instagram messages back and forth with just topic ideas. And it's amazing to hear and see how we're all pretty similar. Doesn't matter where you work, East Coast, West Coast, wherever, doesn't matter. We're all kind of the same. It's funny. And it's actually pretty cool to have interactions with people. And yeah, it's not face-to-face, but it's not a phone call, but just little blurb messages on Instagram and things like that. It's pretty nice to see that, bounce ideas off each other, topic ideas, and just overall people just trying to do better. It's pretty awesome. So thank you for all that. I realize I suck at getting these out, not only consistently, but frequently. I look at the dates and how things go, and then I realize, oh crap, it's been 3 weeks since I've done anything. And literally, and I'm not using it as an excuse, but we're all busy in life, right? Not only our job, family. I literally sit in my guest bedroom with a microphone and a computer and started this in August of 2021. So I know where I need to get to. It's just committing to it and being that consistent pace. It's a lot of work, but really not. I like the topic, so that's easy. It's just sitting down and making it fit into life and making it a little more of a priority. So I can't promise that's going to happen, but I'm at least aware of it. I'm going to try to make it a little bit more consistent, more frequent. And then, as I promised in the past and haven't delivered on yet, guests and all that other stuff, but that takes gear and equipment and things I need to just purchase. So it's coming. If you want to hear it or you have ideas or topics, please send them to me and give me those ideas because that would be awesome. So, all right. Let's see. So today we're going to talk about command presence. And this is a topic that I touched on. I believe it was episode 6 or 5 or somewhere in there. And sometimes I think, I throw these things out there and I'm just scratching the surface. So I've had people hit me up and say, hey, can you talk a little bit more just on this specific area? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take certain pieces and just talk about that. And I've taken time in a few days to try to scratch things out here on bullet point topics. And literally, I write this stuff down like bullet point topics. I go back and review it. I've tried typing it out and making it all, but it's just a pain in the ass. So I write it out, literally scratch piece of paper, bullet point it. So if it sounds like I'm looking down or not paying attention, I have it the way I want to deliver it, but I got to make sure I'm covering because I'm literally writing this stuff down and then trying to deliver the message. It's not easy when you're just staring at a wall in a microphone and trying to do it, but it's because I'm just learning still. So hopefully it's coming across that I'm not completely screwed up and not a hot mess, but I think based on the conversations I've had with people, my message is getting across a little bit. And the format, I've had people say it's just like sitting at the kitchen table, which is kind of what I'm going for. I'm not going to be this professional person that is going to pay for somebody to edit and do all this other stuff. I really like the grassroots type delivery. So if that's working, cool. If it's not, tell me. And if you have a podcast or you've been to it or sound or something like that, send me a message and say, if you did this slight little tweak, this would happen. I would definitely appreciate that. So definitely open to that. I just don't know that it'll change much other than when I finally start getting it together and interviewing people, because I think that's what's going to really help me bounce ideas off other people, and then it's just that natural conversation. So, all right. So, command presence. And basically what I have written out is we're going to take just that piece of command presence, you as the individual. And what does that mean? Because a lot of these first few episodes I've been talking about is just getting you ready to show up day one. Or maybe you're already in the position and company officer, sergeant, lieutenant, whatever it is for you, your department, and you're just looking for some guidance because you're so new at it, which I've gotten a lot of interactions on Instagram about that. The people are already promoted, and they're hitting me up with topics about certain specific things that they're now realizing as they're in the seat, like, oh, crap, nobody told me about this. So it's great. All right, so here we go. Sometimes when it clips like that or whatever it may be, it's because I need to take a break to either cough or get a sip of coffee or water or whatever it may be. So enough about that. So what is command presence? And if you sat there and you thought about it, you know what it is and what it looks like. But let's just start at what a definition of that is, and then we'll tear it apart from there. So Webster's, I don't have to look it up, right? So Webster's on your phone. It's not like when we were younger and we go to a library, a dictionary and look it up. But the simplest definition that Webster's puts out about what command presence is, the definition being a manner which attracts attention. That's it. That's what they write. So, okay, yeah, I guess if you want to be super broad, that's true. So I started there. Let me see what the definition of that Webster's puts out as command presence. And for anybody that's been a paramedic or an EMT or just in your general as a firefighter, and you're moving up the ranks and things like that, you know what command presence looks like, right? It's the one where somebody walks into a room and without them saying anything, you pretty much either know they're in charge or know they're going to take charge and control what chaos may be ensuing. That's more maybe a first responder type look at things. I'm not a business person. I'm not an office person. I'm not, as far as meaning like a cubicle type person. Yeah, we have office administration things to do for the fire service. And does your command presence need to bleed into that? I think so. And I'll talk about some ideas of where I get that. It's not just on the fire ground or emergency scenes where you have to have this command presence. It's pretty much the whole time that you decide, I want to promote. And if you want to go back and listen to my episode about Captain Good Times, you'll know That the people that want to promote just because they don't want to be in the back seat or don't want to climb in the ambulance anymore or carry the gurney around or do whatever the hell, the ones that aren't taking this part of it seriously and actually delivering and doing what the crew needs is basically Captain Good Times. They're a firefighter dressed in a captain uniform. You can go back and listen to me rant on that one, but you can see where sometimes these things bleed over onto each other. So, to get back on point, you know what it looks like. You've seen it. And maybe that person that you're imagining in your head isn't perfect about it. None of us are. But for the most part, you can always tell who's in charge. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Get that person in your head that you've seen that does it and think, am I doing what they're doing? Or how do I do that? How do I just walk in, look like I'm in charge, take charge, handle the chaos that may be going on, small or big, and then they're out of there. So let's keep going on this. So when I look and go, okay, let's go more fire service based for a definition of command presence. Let's see. So NWCG, right? That's a big if you're in the wildland type arena or around it, which our department is, and I know not every department has that wildland component, but as a group, so NWCG is the National Wildfire Coordinating Group. A lot of stuff that has to come with incident response, pocket guide, all this, all these topics of wildland. You go to their website, and they have a pretty cool thing that you can do. A little bit off topic. They have a monthly calendar that if you're not sure, like you want to have a 3 to 5 minute little drill, mostly pertaining to wildland. So if you're a wildland agency or have, anything of that component, this is a good little thing that you can do for a quick little 3 to 5 minute drill at your lineup. Is you go on the NWCG, I think it's .org website and go to their calendar. And I think it has something on there where every day it has a subject that they think you should talk about. And you can print off this 1-page sheet, creates a little discussion. You remind people about some things. And obviously, if you're only working 10 days a month because you're on the certain schedule, you're only doing 10, but you can go back and pick up other ones and find ones that you like. And so it's a good website. But for their definition of what command presence is, they define it as the way leaders present themselves to others. Okay. Doesn't say captains, foremen, supervisors. Doesn't say any of that. The way leaders present themselves to others. There's leaders in all ranks. Whether you stay a firefighter your whole career, promote up to engineer or driver or apparatus operator, whatever it may be called, or you promote to the company officer or beyond, you're a leader in every rank. Now, yeah, do I focus on the company officer? Yeah, because that's what I know up until now. But that doesn't mean I'm not always thinking that the only person that leads is the person with the bugles or whatever you have on your collar or badge that says you're a leader. Because we have plenty of empty suits. All right, we got plenty of people that have the badge, the bugles and everything, and might as well put a freaking mop in the front seat of the engine because that's basically what they are. Is it their fault? I'm going to put it on them first. Is because you got to do a lot of work to feel confident, to have that experience, to exude command presence. And we're going to keep going on this, and I'm going to break it down a little bit more and tell you how to get there, at least some ideas, topics for you. So, Webster's definition, NWCG fire service related. Just because it's wildland doesn't mean anything. It's fire service related. One line definition. Okay, so let's think about that before we start tearing it apart. Picture that person in your mind. You have an image of that command present person, whether it's movies, a real person in life that you're around or have been around or taken a class from, been exposed to somehow. Maybe you're not quite friends or colleagues, but you see how they acted or interacted with people. And a lot of times you see this like on the big heavy hitters that are at FDIC or Firehouse World in Southern California, these big seminars, these fire service seminars that are popping up that are pretty cool. you see, right, the heavy hitters. It's all the heavy hitters that are way into this job. And I constantly dump on myself about being a nerd. I'm like, yeah, I'm a nerd. I love the fire service stuff. Are there times I can't stand it or have had difficulties in it? You bet. And I'll even expose myself and go over some things that I've had happen. So picture that person. Now, I can't see who you're thinking about in real life, but if you want movie examples or shows or whatever, there's a bunch of different ways. And there's an episode I should have preempted it by looking, but there's an episode, one of my favorite shows, and you're going to hear me constantly talking about it, even though it's 20 years old. Band of Brothers has so much, and yeah, it's a show. I get it. I know how it's edited. It's all that, but I've done a lot more research on those individual people that they focus on to realize how accurate and pretty close they are. It's just the concept. So it's entertainment, obviously, but it's also entertainment about real people. And is it some of it incorrect? Probably. Or I guarantee some of it's incorrect because it's Hollywood and we know how that goes. Try watching any fire service movie that's Hollywood. We all laugh at it, right? We make a joke like, are you kidding me? But there's one person in particular, Spears, right? Ronald Spears that's in that. If you haven't seen it, go back and start watching some of the episodes. And when you come across him, you'll see the silent command presence guy who is no BS. And there's some humor that's related to the stories and things like that. But there's this episode piece where a couple minutes where they're talking about replacing one of the company officers in the battalion, or I'm not going to get the names right just because I don't know them all. But you get my point. They're trying to replace a leader, and they go through each person that they think could do it. And it's just funny to watch this 3-minute clip where they show the one guy who thinks in charge but never makes a decision, the one guy who's the yeller who constantly yells, but you're like, geez, this guy, all he does is yell. Things like that. And then you have the silent, strong type, the command presence person. But anyway, so if you have it, go back. If you don't want to watch all the episodes, literally if you go on YouTube and just type in Spears Band of Brothers or Ronald Spears Band of Brothers, so many people have clipped that show just regarding him and leadership and just, anyways, you get my point. It's pretty motivating sometimes to watch and go, okay, sometimes I need a little tune up, and it's for entertainment purposes more than anything. And obviously that's a actor, but he's portraying a real person in life. And to take that even a step farther, I wanted to read just about Ronald Spears' life. And if you read the Stephen Ambrose book, Band of Brothers, there's a little more details you're going to have than just physically watching the show. But there's a book scheduled to come out in mid-May. I've came across it on Amazon, and it's just about Ronald Spears, so you can pre-order it now. Looks pretty good. A few months away from getting that. I'm going to be definitely getting it as soon as I can and reading it, and maybe I can pull some things from there and then revisit this topic in a few months, especially after that comes out. So anyways, as I'm trying to set this up, you can see where I'm talking about examples. So I think we've set that stage enough to understand what does it look like. And what is it about that person that they look like they're in charge at all times? That's the goal, is to look like you're in charge at all times, or to actually be in charge at all times without being a complete dick or asshole all the time and still having a personality and people liking you. That is such a hard line to walk and stay on. You're going to fall one side or the other depending on multiple factors. Staffing issues you may have in your department, things going on at home. It's constant work. But sometimes, after a while, it becomes just natural. And do I turn it off when I come home? Not necessarily. But I have a softer side, obviously, here, because I'm not having to deal with emergency incidents all the time. And I have 2 girls, and a wife. And I can't be the way I am at work all the time. But I do think people like when people make decisions, right? My wife's a strong personality type too, so any fire wife that is married or spouse, I say wife, but that doesn't matter. Boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever your situation is, your spouse, Not just has to be a wife. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter who you're in a relationship with. That's not what this topic's about. You're gone half the time, right? So my wife says, oh, single mother. I'm like, yeah, you're pretty much a single mother half the year based on voluntarily overtime that I take and mandatories and everything else. I'm gone pretty much half the year. And I would think that's pretty common for all of us, at least in places that are having staffing issues, which almost seems like everywhere. So, yeah, you have to have that. So what is it about those people that they seem like they're in charge all the time? So I did a little more research. Like, I know what it looks like. And if I just turned on the microphone and started talking, I'd be all over the damn place and you'd be so frustrated with it, you'd shut it off. So I went and looked and did more research and said, okay, what is it? Let me get somebody else's written down opinion or whatever it may be about what is it? And in a brief, encapsulated 3-part section, I found one piece that was pretty good to just narrow it down. And the 3 subjects are look sharp, act sharp, be sharp. It's like, damn, that's pretty good. That's pretty straightforward, right? Now, obviously, we need to go a little deeper on what that means. But on the overall surface, look sharp, act sharp, be sharp. Pretty simple, right? But let's take the time to tear each individual piece apart, which is going to fracture off into other things too. And I have these all written down, so we're going to start hitting that right now. All right, so let's keep going here. Look sharp, act sharp, be sharp. Let's take the easiest way to go first. Look sharp. Probably the easiest part to this whole thing, because all you got to do is look the part. You don't have to open your mouth. You don't have to have an education portion of it yet. Just look sharp. So immediately, right, you go, well, how do I do that? Well, we already have a uniform. A uniform means something, right? And I'm not going to be this person who I'm like, oh, big uniform person that you have to abide by the department policy. And I'll expand on that in a second. But you know when you look sharp at work and when you look like crap. So personally, what I do, and I don't know, I watch other people do it, and then I started doing it, and now it's pretty much every all year long thing. We have the standard Nomex snap button uniform. I have a long sleeve one. I have short sleeve ones. It's like all of us, right? I pretty much wear a long sleeve one all year long. And I worked and still kind of do for a long time in an area with extreme weather. Very hot in the summer, cold as hell in the winter. So wintertime, yeah, you're good. In summertime, you're like, damn, does it really? Not really. I like it better. I'm just so used to it now that when I wear a short sleeve shirt, it feels odd to me. Am I saying you have to do that? No. Does it make you look sharp if you're short sleeve versus long sleeve? Maybe a slight degree, but not enough to worry about or state and hang my hat on. I'm just saying, look at yourself in the mirror and pay attention to what's going on. Even down to polishing your badge, all the things that we did in the academy, right? Before, no Irish pennants, no thing, boots shine. Now, the boot shining thing, do I polish them like an academy? Hell no, of course not. But do they look decent day in and day out? Pretty much, yes. Do I polish them all the time? No, but I at least wipe them off, make them look somewhat presentable, just my regular station boots. All that stuff is easy. To have clean uniform, if you need to get new uniforms, get them. The faded out mismatched crap that looks terrible, it looks terrible. It doesn't matter if you have everything polished and clean, it looks terrible. Now, obviously, abide by your department policy, right? We get a uniform allowance that we're supposed to spend money on, keyword supposed to, and that's what it's for. Use it. If not, go through the proper channels and ways of getting uniforms established through your department and get them when you can. Make it a priority. Look sharp. That part's not hard. It's pretty easy to do that because it doesn't require much other than getting yourself dressed and actually giving a crap for a few minutes. So, easy place to start there. And I'm not talking down anybody. It just starts, sometimes it comes to be my natural personality coming out, and hopefully that doesn't come out like I'm trying to be your dad or something. I'm not. What I'm saying is, if you're here for advice, let me just give it to you and take it for what it is. Okay, so your daily appearance, you got a uniform policy, and like I said, I don't stick to ours 100%, right? If you want to go really deep into it, we're technically not supposed to wear hooded sweatshirts in my department. Now, it kind of goes gray area. I have a hooded sweatshirt I've had since I was a firefighter. It's probably 15 years old. It's broken in, soft. It was a hooded sweatshirt that we had before this updated policy came out a few years ago. I wear it. I wear it around the station. I do not wear it outside of the station in the public because we're definitely not supposed to, for our department, we're definitely not supposed to wear a hooded sweatshirt in the public. I don't do that. I take it off when we go on calls. But in the morning, with PT gear on, before we work out, and it's not 110 degrees outside, wintertime, still kind of right now in our area, I wear it. It's like a broken in baseball glove, basically. I wear it, but it does not leave and go outside the station. That's just me. It's my little comfort thing. But if I see people wearing it outside, or I just let them know ahead of time anyway when they come work, they're not going to do that. And our department's, it's been in place so long now that a lot of people pretty much know what they can and can't do. So one little subject idea that I talk about. Okay, so I don't do that. And I let people know. Because if I walk around with a hooded sweatshirt and then try to be an enforcer, what happens to my credibility with the crew? It goes in the toilet. So I tell people all the time, yeah, you're right. This is how I look when we leave or when public comes into the firehouse. This is what I wear then. Pretty much everything else I adhere to the department standard. My opinion is do that. Because if you're going to take a supervisor role and think you're going to buck the system the whole time and you're going to win, go ahead. One, then you shouldn't be in that more expected leadership position if you think that you can just do whatever you want and just, I'll piss off. I don't have to do what the department wants. Well, you're asking for the leadership role. Nobody told you you have to promote, at least not that I'm aware of. You can say no. You're the one who voluntarily put yourself out there. So keep the traditions alive. Do the right thing. You're going to hear me constantly say, just do the right thing. It's not that hard. Now, do you have to agree with it? If you thought we could agree with everything, nothing would happen. Nothing would get done because we all have different opinions. But you know where I'm going with it. So your uniforms, your daily appearance, whether it's your PT gear, uniforms, emergency equipment, turnouts, all that stuff should look and be ready to go at all times, right? Everybody spends all this time checking out their morning equipment, BA masks, BAs, run the saws, do all that crap. Not crap, but you know what I'm saying. All that stuff. Our regular routine, because that's our lifeline. And is our uniform our lifeline? No, but it's a piece of what we represent. So take it serious too. All right. As the company officer, if you don't say something and you allow people to do things that you know are against uniform policy, and I'm talking bigger things, like our department policy is you'll wear this specific belt buckle, but guys have station pride in some of their things and they have specific belt buckles. Do I really like that? Yes, I do. Do I think it should be allowed? Yes, I do. Am I in charge? Nope. So if people wear it, do you say something? The current station I'm at now, I have a lot more brass that's at that station. I decided to go there. I wasn't forced to go there. I play by the rules. Now, if I worked at an outlying station that wasn't with all the chiefs and everything, would it change my opinion? Probably not, because at some point you're going to cross paths with them. And you can't just let your personnel do that. Does it suck? Yeah, but tell your personnel to direct their enthusiasm for station pride maybe to somewhere else. And you can see where I'm getting at, right? It's just like an uphill battle with that one. I love everything that has to do with station pride. Individual rigs, patches, station items. I love all that stuff. I think it's awesome. The fact that departments try to sterilize that, I think, is the start of the downfall of it's separating out from management and boots on the ground type comparison. So getting off subject here. But what you allow or what you don't say becomes the norm. And the farther you let it get down the road, the harder it's going to be to come back and try to straighten that out. And you're gonna see things and things are going to slip by, and some chief may bring it to your attention. I didn't realize that. And I'll go back to the other piece where I say, be prepared to be uncomfortable. Because you think you want to go tell an adult, like, hey, sorry, but you can't wear that belt buckle. Do you have your regular one? No, it's freaking uncomfortable. But you asked for this job. You asked for this management position, so get used to it. I'm not going to say whether the people respect you for that or not. I don't know. It's so individual based. But if you put yourself in a spot where you make that the expectation and it's known, there's a lot less that you have to deal with when you just jump on it from the beginning. Trying to play catch up sucks. It's terrible. So don't do it if you can avoid it. And as I continue to harken on uniforms, let me give you an example, right? Because everything has to be pictured in your head, because I can't show you anything on this until maybe one day I start a YouTube channel, but I don't have a face for that. So let me stick to it this way and kind of paint the picture. Everybody knows the New York Yankees. Look how they look, right? No, I'm not saying just them specifically. Major League Baseball, professional sports, they look pretty good. Pretty much all the teams. But if you do a little research on the Yankees, look at how their uniforms and how they do things, right? They're pretty traditional with the pinstripes. Everybody knows that. Do you ever notice that they don't have names on the back of the uniform? You ever notice, unless they're starting to get away from it, but I just read recently, you ever notice none of them have out-of-control facial hair or long hair or beards or anything? That's the standard set by that organization from a very long time ago. I think it's starting to wean a bit and it's starting to fracture, and you see some people that are kind of stepping over the line there. But for the most part, that's probably one of the tightest MLB organizations when you look at things, right? Because you see some other places, you're like, damn, I wonder what that guy looks like if he actually shaved that beard off. But that's one example. I want to go back and say that with the name thing on the back of the uniform, they basically said that no, the name on the back isn't important, the name on the front is. That kind of concept is bed in that way, but maybe I'm off. But just the fact that the way they look, the way that their expectation is facial hair, and I even think jewelry. Like, you don't see a lot of their players with all this stuff hanging or their shirt open or any of that stuff that you see some of the other teams allow. There's one slight example. Another example that gets used a lot in my department, because we're in Southern California, a chief that I've been around for a while, taken classes from and things, he always talks about uniforms and he's big on it, and he tries to kind of explain the same thing that I'm explaining now, is we have a hamburger chain out here in California, and it bleeds a little bit. I know for sure in St. George, Utah, and maybe Arizona. I can't remember, but I definitely know Southern California is a big thing. It's called In-N-Out Burger. Doesn't matter where you go in an In-N-Out Burger, they all look the same. Pretty much the whole uniform is white. They wear a red apron and a certain hat, depending on male or female. Everybody looks the same. Almost in time where we've gone there so much, and I even looked at their In-N-Out handbook policy on uniforms, and they have black shoes that have to be look a certain way. The pants have to be a certain way. They wear a red apron with this giant pin on the back that holds it. It has to be even done that a certain way. So that's pretty impressive. But when you go there, the expectation of what it looks like is always the same. And for the most part, I've been to quite a few of them. I couldn't tell if this burger was made at this In-N-Out or this one 500 miles away or 400, it's all kind of the same. So how do they get that? Well, they set up a standard, and that is the norm. That is what is acceptable. And you either abide by it or you go down the road and go work somewhere else. Now, obviously, that's not as easy to do in the fire service, but if we were to get somewhat close to that on how serious we take things and professionalism and looking that way, if you're a professional department, even a volunteer department, I'm pretty sure you have just as much pride and look, and there's pretty much set standards, right? It's just the way staffing's done or the way calls are handled or things. For the most part, we're all the same, and the expectation is pretty much the same. So I probably beat that up enough, but take it seriously. If I was just a gloss over and be like, yeah, wear your uniform and kind of look like you know what you're doing. No. Let me delve just that little bit what I was just talking about. So that's look sharp. Now, is there more to it? Sure. But we could talk for days on that and how to look sharp and have a back and forth conversation over it. But I'm just talking and going just a little bit deeper below the surface. All right. Acting sharp. How do you act sharp? Well, the key word being act, like an actor, actress. You got to look like you know what you're doing. Do I know what I'm doing at all times? No. But I tell people, I don't like the fake it till you make it bull crap. That's stupid. I hate that. Fake it till you make it. Really? I don't know who the hell said that. Because if you fake it and screw something up and somebody gets hurt, I'm going to be pretty pissed. I would rather you tell me, I don't know how to do that. And then, because you think people can't pick out when somebody's faking something they're doing? That's just a stupid term that people say. I don't like it. My personal opinion only. So I tell people all the time, I don't know a lot, right? So if I had to pick a weakness, I'm not a big hazmat person. I know enough to keep me out of trouble for the most part, but beyond that, I'm worthless on a hazmat incident because I don't have the training. I haven't put myself there yet. Maybe sometime in my career I'll do that, but I know right away that's it. But I can act like I kind of know what I'm doing, and I can put those first few steps into it versus standing there like a bump on a log and don't know anything. You're acting sharp, or you at least appear like you're sharp. I can tell people, I just look like I know what I'm doing. Doesn't mean I do. Not at all times. I just at least am thinking about it, or I know where to find resources to shore up what I don't know. So just on the physical part of it, acting sharp, act sharp. I had to look that up and kind of get some definitions. Some people had written some things down. I kind of pulled it apart and said, okay, yeah. How do you act sharp? This isn't even talking about the experience. We're talking about what you look like and how you show up. Act sharp. Stand up straight. Use a calm, even voice. What happens when you get the person who gets off and just starts yelling like crazy? You're like, what the hell? Either the guy has a bad day, or maybe there's something critical that he's yelling about, or he or she. Or are they just a yeller? I don't know. But a calm, even voice usually controls things. You've all been on those EMS calls where they kind of get sideways, or you're trying to do crowd control, or whatever it may be. Calm, even voice usually will help you out more than just immediate yelling back and forth. We know that. Make eye contact. Do you ever notice this? Take a poll in your head now. And now that I just brought this up and you think about it, you probably already know. Watch how many people, when you shake their hand, don't look at you. It has been forced upon me for I don't know how long, not only from my dad, my parents, starting out as an explorer at like age 16. And all these people kind of tell me the same thing, make eye contact. It's such a habit now. I even recognize myself shaking somebody's hand and my head automatically picks up and looks them in the eye. That was taught to me. But I think sometimes we lose it, or you're not always being taught it. So make eye contact. Not only when shaking hands, talking. You ever notice when you're like trying to make constant eye contact with somebody, it's like hard. You're like trying to listen to what they're saying, but then you realize you're staring into their eyes and they're staring at you, and you're like, what the hell are they talking about? Because you start noticing that you're focusing on making eye contact. Well, you got to work through that, but I'm just saying, do it. A lot of people look down and they're not focused. And if you want to look like you're sharp, make eye contact. Resist saying and like a lot. I don't know. Do I have to expand on that? That just comes from naturally talking a lot, maybe taking a speech class, recording yourself on your phone and seeing how you talk or read or say or talk, and depending on how nutty you want to be. But if you can reduce how many times you say or like, like this, like, ugh. So if you can cut that out, it just makes you sound a little more intelligent. Is it the end of the world? No, of course not. But those are things that can help you just take the notch up a little bit more. Have calm body movement. Okay, I'm pretty writing somebody else's ideas, but I agree with them. Calm body movement. You're not like agitated constantly. You're not like, there's times where I can feel I'm agitated and I can feel my shoulders are hunched up. I have to like calm down and relax, especially if somebody's doing a crappy drill or they're doing something they shouldn't do. Or I have to go say something, or I know I need to. I'm like, ugh. Right? You got to just calm down, calm body movements, try to get your point across. And I think one of the biggest ones, and this was number 6 on this list that I pulled up, quit apologizing. You ever notice, like, people feel like they have to apologize? Like, look, I'm saying it too, moron. Ugh. People have to apologize, I think, for telling you to do something that you're expected to do. Because they don't think it's popular, or they think, oh, the crew's not going to like me because I asked them to do this. Don't apologize. Let me give you an example. Say what you need to do and what you expect and be done. You have some weird, outlandish rule, well, maybe you might have to explain that. Or somebody's going to call you on it and go, I don't understand why you're doing that because nobody else in this department does that. You're making up your own rule, but why? You may have a specific reason based on that station or an experience you have or some knowledge you have. Then fine, explain it. But don't apologize about it. You might have to explain yourself a little more. Now, I say that, but then when I do the staffing, it's my turn to do the staffing at our station, and I have to call people and mandatory them or recall them, I find myself apologizing, like, sorry, man, it sucks. And then they're like, oh, it's not your fault. I'm like, why do I keep doing that? Sometimes you got to have a little compassion. You can't be a jerk off all the time. Now, when it's busy and we need to mandatory people because fire weather and things are going crazy, I don't take time to apologize. I'm like, it is what it is. You're mandatoried. I need you here at this time. Report to this rig. Boom. Okay, got it. Thank you. Boom. I'll say thank you, but I don't apologize. There's other times where I feel bad because a person's getting mandatory on a freaking Tuesday. I'm like, that sucks. Oh, man, sorry. Oh, it's not your fault. But that's not exactly the prime example of what I'm talking about. You can't constantly apologize for something that needs to be done. Like we have to do mandatory training and this and that and all these things that just have to be done. You can't just go, oh, sorry, guys, we have to do it. You know, the chief's making me. The chief's not making you. The chief's just making sure you're doing it. He's not making you do that specific assignment. Somebody above the fire chief most of the time is making these big decisions on certain things like cybersecurity and workplace violence and all this crap. It just has to be done. You don't apologize for it. And you tell them it needs to be done by this specific time. I would suggest we get it done by this time because our week or the next couple weeks of the month look open. The last couple are busy. So help your crew out by giving them a little bit of direction, saying, hey, we need to do this. It's due on this date. This week looks pretty good, but the next 2 weeks we got training up the wazoo. So I would suggest do it this week. Just plant that seed for them. If they don't do it, it's on them. But they better have it done before the deadline is because you're going to hear about it. You don't want to be the guy, you don't want to be the person that the chief's constantly chasing after because you have one person who's not getting something done. And I say that from experience. Because I try to be the nice guy, and hey, you got to get this done, okay, apologize, okay, and they don't. Now, do you have to be a dick? No, but you just got to keep their feet to the fire a little bit to get those things done. Okay, I think I've beat those ones up a little bit there, and let's go on to the biggest one, I think. Be sharp. How do you be sharp? To me, this is the hardest thing. Because being sharp, you actually have to practice and put into play what you've either been taught or what's expected of you in that role or that position that you took. Now you need to put it into play. The other ones are pretty much, you don't even have to open your mouth. Well, I mean, some of it, yes, but you know what I'm saying. You don't have to prove yourself until you get to be sharp. And to be sharp, you got to have experience. Sorry, but that's the way it is. You have to have experience somewhere. Now, let me soften it up a bit. In the fire service, you're being sized up constantly, right? So, as an example, because that's all I know, when you get promoted, the list comes out, everybody sees whose name's on it. Then a few days after that, they figure out your assignments. You get your assignment. As soon as that sheet comes out, the crew that you're being assigned to is already doing research on you. They may even know that you're coming to them before it comes out onto paper. Our department specifically. It's probably similar everywhere else. I don't think we do anything special. You're already being sized up. Seniority number. Where you've worked in the past. They're going to find out where you're coming from, and they're going to see if they have any contacts there, and they're going to start calling and texting those group. What's this person like? What's this person like? There's nothing you can do about that. But what I talk about being sharp is straight up experience. Time on the job, it takes time. Now, whether you've been researching and finding a mentor, you've really focused hard on it, or whether you just took the test because you're tired of sitting in the back seat or driving and you just want to be in charge, but you haven't put a lot of time into what that position entails, it's going to come to the surface. I'm telling you, it's going to come to the surface. And whether you're the person who's like, I don't care what people think about me and water rolls off my back, cool. But sometimes it's got to bother you if you know people are talking smack on you. Whatever. Is it because your experience level is not there, you don't care, you don't look sharp, you don't act sharp? Maybe. So maybe we can adjust a few things. That's controllable. Now, granted, the experience thing is I'm always going to stay, move around in your department if you can, take as much classes as you can, try to get as much experience. But physically just going through the job and the task of being a firefighter, that's going to be some of your most beneficial experience and slide carousel you're going to have. Because if you don't think that people don't look and go, how long has this person been on? If you haven't worked for another department prior to the one you're at now, or it's your first time and you're promoting with 5 years on the job, and you didn't come from anywhere else, another department or some other crazy background, you're going to have a tough time. I'm just being straight up. But that doesn't mean like, oh, crap, I shouldn't take the promotion. If you're allowed to take the test and promote at whatever time frame that is, minimal time on, do what works best for you. Just know you're going to have a steeper incline on some things than other people. But that's an individual basis. That part, it is what it is. I'm just telling you if you can avoid that. Or remember, 30-year window, if that's what your career department is, that's a long time. It doesn't seem long, but it's pretty long. You can space it out depending on how far you want to go up the chain. Then, yeah, you better cut up the time frame that you need to work in certain spots and when you need to take tests. Look at the overall picture, then deal with what's in front of you. All right. So that experience is not just fireground. I'm talking administration stuff where you got to put people on duty, do the staffing correctly, pay them, keep track of everything that needs to happen with them and classes and their qualifications and certs that they need to do. That's your job too. Now, is it your job to make sure they get all that stuff done? Yes and no. If you act like you care, do you think they know you care? You bet. If you don't care and you're like, well, it's on you. It's your problem. It's not going to be just their problem because it's going to come to you first because you're the middle person. The chief's going to come down on you and then you're going to have to tell your person. It's not like the chief's going to go directly to them. And I'm just using the paramilitary version of how the fire service works. So to say like, oh, I'm not an office guy or I'm not an admin guy, then don't take this job. Because this day and age, there is no excuse to be like, oh, I'm not a computer person. Piss off. Computers have been around forever. Learn your job or don't take the damn position. It's so frustrating to watch dumbass guys that promote that just say, oh, I don't need to know that. And they can't do the basics of the admin stuff that they need to do. Don't you think their credibility is like, well, that guy's a pile of crap? But do you think that if that demeanor of how that person operates in their office is going to translate and all of a sudden there's some spectacular operations person? Doubt it. Are there exceptions? Of course. Did that rule apply maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago? Probably. Fire service was a little different. And I say that because I've been on the job for 21 years. I started out as an explorer at 16. I'm 46. There's my 30-year window of just being around the fire service. I'm not counting my explorer time as experience or anything, but at least I've seen it. I know what the terms are, how things operate. It was a completely different department than what I'm at now. So I'm not claiming that time of, oh, I got 30 years on the job. What I'm saying is I've been around the fire service that long. So that has helped me. I still remember things as an explorer that has gotten me to where I'm at. Now, does that mean you need all this? You need to be an explorer, work for an ambulance company, go to paramedic school, go to a fire academy? No, because we're hiring people that have none of that. They come from another job and they just go into the fire service because it's what they want to do and they can do that. I tell people all the time, pretty much anywhere you've worked prior to the fire service, you can attribute to this job. But if you're just focusing and shining a light on fire service stuff, you might have a harder time because you haven't been around it. You don't know the terminology. You haven't done it all. And you try to promote fast, then your experience level is going to be a little bit less. But pretty much any job that you've done prior to the fire service is going to help you out in the fire service. Whatever it is. Sales, how to talk to people, teaching, whatever. You're gonna have some point that it's gonna be your strength in the fire service. So, all right, what else do I have here on that? So, like I said, you're being sized up all the time. Your background's gonna be different. Okay, cool. So I've gotten through most of that. Now, when you look at all of that and you wrap it up together, look sharp, be sharp, act sharp, all those things, is that command presence? It definitely helps to build towards it. All the things that make you up or what's going to determine your level and ability to exude command presence. Everybody's personality is different. Their voice is different. Their look is different. Whatever it is. I can't control all that, and neither can you. But if you can massage and manipulate the things that are variable that you can control, you're going to get yourself that much closer to command presence. And when I look at that and go, okay, in a general sense, another way to look at it too is do you have people lining up to work for you? Do you have people that want to come work for you because they would be honored to work for you? I'm not saying I have that. I'm still always working towards that. But that's a good thing. Or are people proud to say they work at that firehouse or for you or under your direction? Or yeah, that's cool. Everybody likes to feel good that they're doing a good job. If you think that maybe you're hardcore and just like, oh, I don't care if people like me or not. I don't know about that. But you know what I'm saying? All those factors relay into how your firehouse operates as well. So are there days where you have to fight the laziness? You bet your ass there are. You have staffing issues, stress at home, stress of calls, and there's times where you're just like, dude, I just want to sit in my locker, in my dorm, in my locker. Yeah, there might be times too where you want to lock yourself in your locker. But you got to fight it through it, especially when your spotlight is on you all the time because you're asking to voluntarily take this position as a company officer. So that should put more weight on your shoulders to have to try to fight that laziness because everybody's watching what you're doing, especially your crew. And yeah, are there times where you can be weak, be vulnerable, and basically crap the bed and you tanked yourself because you had a bad day? You bet. Not too long ago, 3-4 years ago, our staffing issues were out of control. And there was what we were told was your only guaranteed day off is a trade that you do with another person. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole staffing thing of why I mean that, but there's certain days that we're not necessarily up for mandatory unless we've gone through all the shifts and all that. And you sometimes in our setting, your in-between day off, your 24 hours days off is kind of your protected day. Well, we were getting blasted even on that in between. It's like you weren't going home. It's just the way it was. Timing, fires, but it was for a long time. It was happening. And you'd be like, oh, you talk to the wife at 10 o'clock and okay, I should be home tomorrow morning because, it's my in-between day and everything's good. And then you get the phone call at 10:30 at night. Oh, you're mandatory for 12 hours or 24 hours to whatever. And honestly, I'd lose my shit. And I was at a weak point where I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with this job. If you think about it, if I'm doing this and this time I've had on my job, how could I get to that point? Well, there was a lot of factors. I had a lot of major issues going on as far as events that I've been around that I'm going to talk about in future episodes, staffing things, some stress and some mental health things I hadn't dealt with that contributed to that. So did that look bad? You bet it did. Did I have to eat crow and go to the crew the next couple of days or whatever and be like, that should not have happened? Here's the reason, not the excuse of why I did what I did or, yelling in the station or pissed off about being mandatory to recall. Yeah, it's going to happen. But sometimes you got to own it and just be like, sorry, not what should happen. Because you're not indestructible, right? We're humans too. So remember, you got to take care of your people. And they sometimes need to take care of you. So if you have that command presence, but you have that vulnerability or that open door policy, however you want to call it, that they can come to you and say, hey, are you okay? That's huge. If you can balance that and keep that going, you're doing pretty good. Remember, and I don't want to say I'm my crew's father figure type at me because we're almost the same age for pretty much all right. You're pretty much kind of somewhere. You can be way off or you can be close. I'm not saying that. But you're in a supervisory role, or maybe you're a little farther down the road with the experience or life experience or whatever. But sometimes you need to take care of your people, not just telling them all this stuff that needs to get done at work, but listen to their stories on duty, off duty. And sometimes you need to interject, and sometimes you need to protect them from themselves. Whether it's at work, offer to have some advice about home things, or, yeah, hey, you know what? I dealt with that too. Do you want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. We'll go outside and talk about things. And so you can't have this hard command presence all the time and not be able to be a little bit soft too. It's a little bit easier to be on the harder side and then come back the other way than it is to constantly be soft and try to be hard. Ugh, that's a weird concept there. Get your mind out of the gutter. So anyways, I think, let's see, we're coming up on almost an hour. You're probably sick of me already, but I do want to read what the NWCG, as I mentioned in the beginning, the Wildland website and everything about leaders and leadership and command presence. It's actually just a topic, command presence. It's a couple paragraphs long, but nothing crazy. I'll read some bullet point things, some discussion point questions to leave you with, and then take it from there. So, NWCG topic on command presence. Leaders often face difficult problems for which there are no simple, clear-cut, by-the-book solutions. In these situations, leaders must use their knowledge, skill, experience, education, values, and judgment to make decisions and take or direct action. Command presence is one element of a leader's effectiveness. Okay, that's the first paragraph. They just put everything out there right now. Of everything that you must use: knowledge, skill, experience, education, values, and judgment, just to make a decision. Okay, pretty much what we were talking about, right? Command presence is the way leaders present themselves to others. More than anything else, the leader's command presence sets the tone for the command climate within an organization. Command climate refers to the environment within the influence of a particular leader. A good command climate is characterized by open communication, mutual trust and respect, freedom to raise issues and engage in debate, clear and obtainable goals, and teamwork. Now, clear and obtainable goals, I'm 100% on board with that one. You can go back to previous episodes, and I think it's the expectation one where I talk about clear and obtainable goals for the most part. But I think just that one alone, maybe one day I'll do a subject on too. But character is the foundation of command presence. Leaders reveal their character in every interaction. Leaders must display a combination of personal attributes and behaviors that communicate to others that they are worthy of trust and respect. Pretty much what we were talking about, but I didn't go as deep, but you're not just handed that and go automatically get respect because you put that badge and that bugles on. Not at all. Leaders must display a combination of personal attributes and behaviors that communicate to others that they are worthy of trust and respect. Demeanor is another component of command presence that speaks volumes to others. Poise and self-assurance play a large part in your ability as a leader to influence the action of others. Self-assurance, confidence, whatever you want to call it. How do you obtain that? I didn't even talk about that. But if we talk about this third, let me go back to my paper. The third thing, be sharp, right? Experience, all that other stuff. How do you become confident? It's not smoke and mirrors. You can't stand on some house of cards and think, oh, I have confidence, but I barely have that experience. It's not going to work. So you can see where experience, confidence, and not arrogance, multiple different things. Can you be confident with minimal experience and be dangerous? Of course. Can you be competent with minimal experience, but humble enough to know when to build on it and be okay? Sure, you can see the fine line, right? I don't have an answer for all of it. I'm just making you aware of some things. All right, back to the NWCG. It's the last paragraph. Fire leaders take charge when in charge, lead from the front, and act decisively in order to inspire confidence among team members. In times of crisis, a leader's command presence can be the critical factor in determining whether a team succumbs to pressures and dangers or stays focused, seizing an opportunity to overcome and succeed. There was no way I was going to rewrite after reading that, just those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little paragraphs. Anything other than that, I agree with that right there. Some discussion points at the end that they say that there's just questions to take home, ponder in your head, and maybe open discussion for whether you want to get a hold of me and we can talk, or amongst your firehouse. Discussion point 1. Can you think of a leader with strong command presence? What were some of the behaviors that they exhibited? Number 2. Does command presence look different for different situations? 3. How do we develop command presence? We just talked for almost an hour, right, about how do we develop it. And then number 4, is command presence reflected in the 10 standard firefighting orders? Now, if you're a wildland person, or your department is, you know what 10 standard firefighting orders, it's related to wildland, but the Incident Response Pocket Guidebook has some other things that aren't just wildland based. So once you click on NWCG's website, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's just unlimited information. It's awesome. But I just wanted to read that bit on command presence that even they acknowledge is a huge factor. Below that, they have tons of references you can click on and go for. And one of them is a big one. It's called Wildland Fire Leadership Development Program. That one's a big one. And then they have a 70-something page you can print off straight from a PDF, Leading in the Wildland Fire Service. That one's cool, especially for departments that either have wildland first in initial action, strike teams. Big for Southern California, but wildland is all over, right? So I'm only speaking from the little piece of the pie of the world that I know, Southern California. So definitely, I'm hoping this reaching farther out and it's hitting home, and there's things that you want to talk about, then definitely hit me up. I appreciate your time. That's pretty much an hour on command presence, and a little bit. It's not necessarily leadership. It's just looking like you know what you're doing. And I hope that helps. I think I'm going to keep pulling apart little subjects like that. And really, honestly, I take it from interaction that I get from you, and constructive criticism and opinions and topic ideas is just huge. So I think I'm pretty much good. If you have anything, I'm going to leave you the Instagram account, email, and everything else. Other than that, be safe. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Remember, keep moving forward. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Fire Officer Project Command Presence. I hope you got something out of that. And if there's anything that I can add, or maybe I just should have gone a little bit farther on, or topics, or you want to talk, get a hold of me. You can send a direct message. Our Instagram account is the Fire Officer Project. It's all typed together. Links for all that stuff is going to be in the platform that you're listening to this podcast on. Should be at the bottom. You can click on it. I try to link everything to make it easy. If you want to send an email, should have a link there as well. The Fire Officer Project at gmail.com. Send me whatever you're thinking. A little bit better on responding on Instagram, but I check my email daily, so I'll get back to you, especially if I'm at work, even at home. So I'll get back to you. But please send me criticism, questions, suggestions. If you're a person that understands podcasting and sound and everything of that nature, or suggest a mixer or whatever, or how to go farther and deeper with expanding this, I'm interested in hearing that as well. So I hope the subject helped. I'm going to continue to keep putting it out more frequently as best as I can. And that's all I have for you today. Have a good day. Keep moving forward.